Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss the 17th question of database management system. Let's see the question. Here is the question set 17, but the scenario is same as in the previous question. That means this is the scenario which I discussed in previous video, in the 16th video. In this question also I'm using this scenario. So here's the database I have created in the previous video for the 16th question. Today I'm going to use this database. So let's see the questions for today. In the first part, what is the relationship between student and the subject? So in the first part we have to find the relationship between student and the subject table. So here's our database and here's the student table and here's the subject table. So when we get one student can learn one or more subjects. One student can learn more subjects while one subject is learned by more students. So the relationship between the student table and the subject table is many-to-many relationship. So the answer for the first part is many-to-many relationship. In the second part, can this relationship be in databases? The answer for this part is no, because the relationship between those two tables is many-to-many relationship. When we connect those two tables by a many-to-many relationship, another new table will be generated. When we connect those two tables by many-to-many relationship, another new table will be auto-generated, because the relationship between those two tables is many-to-many relationship. So the newly generated table will not appear in the database. So the answer for the second part is no. I will explain this again. This is the student table, this is the subject table. When we get one student can learn one or more subject. So the relationship between those two tables is one-to-many. When we get the opposite of that, when we get one subject will be studied so many students. So here the relationship between those two tables is many-to-many relationship. Relationship is many-to-many relationship. Because of that, when we connect those two tables by many-to-many relationship, a new table will be auto-generated. Because of that, the newly generated table will not be appearing in the database. So the many-to-many relationship converts to a one-to-many relationship by making a new table, and it will not appear in the database. So I have discussed the first part, and the next part, in the second part, create a relationship between student and the subject. So in the second part we have to create that relationship. So here's the student table, here's the subject table, and the relationship between those two tables is many-to-many. So here's the symbol we use to represent many-to-many relationship. So you can see here a new table has auto-generated. Here's the new table and those are the tables. And when we get these two tables, the relationship between student and the student has subject table is one-to-many relationship. Like that, the subject and the student has subject also one-to-many relationship. Because of that, it can't be appeared on the database. So this is identified relationship. I'm changing it into a non-identified relationship. I'm going to the foreign key and I'm changing it. So you can see the line has been changed, and I'm doing this foreign key and I'm changing identified relationship. So this is the table. Let's see the next part. In the third part, change the name of the table created about the student exam mark record. In the third part, we have to change the table's name. This is the newly generated table by making these two relationships. These two tables as many-to-many relationship. In the third part, I have to rename this table as this. So here's the table. Let's see the next part. In the fourth part, create a relationship between the tables student exam mark record and the term exam term. So let's create this relationship. Here are the two tables. Here's the exam term table and here's the student exam mark record. When we get one exam term, like first term, like second term, like that, when we get a one term, the exam mark record, there will be more exam records because of more students will sat on a one term and the records will be more records. When we get a one record, it will correspond to a one term. So the relationship between those two tables is one to many relationship. Here's the symbol we use to represent one to many relationship, and here's the many side, here's the one side. So I have created the relationship between exam term and the student exam mark record. So let's see the next question. In the fifth question, add a column called mark to the student exam mark record table. Change the data type to tab. So in the fifth question, we have to add a new column called mark. For this table, for the student exam mark record table, I'm going to add a new column called mark, and I'm going to change the data type into double. Here's the double. So I have created the column. Now you can see that the mark has been doubled in this table. In the sixth question, create a relationship between student and the class. In the last part, we have to make the relationship between student table and the class table. When we get a one student will belong to a one class. A one student belongs to a one class, while in a one class there are more students. So the relationship between those two tables is one to many relationship. Here's the one to many symbol, and here's the many side, and here's the one side. So the relationship between student table and the class table is one to many relationship. So that's all for today. Today I have discussed the 17th question. So thank you everyone for listening.